We are good. All right, this is October the 3rd. Oh my goodness, it's October already. And this is the Ortelius General Community Meeting. Steve and I just got back from a fabulous trip overseas, and now my head's got to get back into things. So I'll just give a brief update on what outreach things are going on, and then I'll pass it off to Steve to talk about Hacktoberfest. And from an outreach perspective, Hacktoberfest is up and running. There's some pull request out there that Steve could talk about if you're interested in participating in Hacktoberfest. But that is basically the busiest thing that we have going on from the outreach side. Tony Corrado and I are scheduled to do a talk at the open, what is it called? Open group on November the 1st in Houston, and we're going to cover security in general. So we'll be mentioning Ortelius there. I just got off a Swamp Up presentation where I presented many open source tools, including Ortelius. And I did get the Carl Quinn Top Speaker Award for the second year in a row, which was kind of surprising. And then we really need to start focusing our attention on the upcoming holidays. We always do about the first week of December. We will have our holiday festival. And we will need to look for 5 or 6 10-minute lightning talks. So if you're interested in doing a lightning talk, start thinking about what you might do. And that is about it. There is some news from the Continuous Delivery Foundation that I should cover quickly. There was a point that we thought the Continuous Delivery Foundation was going to close forever. But we have been told, or at least I have heard, that the CDF will stay around. It will go, they will continue to fund a few of the projects. Fatih will no longer be with them, and they'll have no staff. So it will be a foundation that has no Linux Foundation staff. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but we'll see how it goes. There is some interest in potentially bringing Ortelius over into the OpenSSF. Krob mentioned that to me yesterday on a call. So that is something that the TOC, our Ortelius TOC and our governing board has been talking about. So just as just to keep the community informed, the CDF is going to continue being around. We have a home for now. We may be looking at changing that home depending on the health of the CDF in the future.
And on that front, some of the things that we did to help the CDF out was we took down our Azure cluster because that was costing about $6,000 a year. It was mainly being used for some of the backstage stuff, and doesn't look like Brad was using that much in that group. So we had to pull it down. A lot of the stuff that our development can be done locally in kind. So it wasn't prohibiting us from doing anything. So I think we're going to be good on that front. The websites run under Netlify under a CDF account. And I'm in the process of getting those moved over under my Netlify account. So we'll be good on that front. I just had to get some DNS changes done on that front. So that's what's happening in that. We may have like a minor interruption when the DNS propagates, but I think the old site and the new site should be able to be up and running at the same time, and the DNS will flip over and propagate over the world. That probably won't happen until next week. It takes them a little bit of time for the Linux Foundation to do the DNS changes. So that's what's happening on that front. And let me go ahead and dive into Hacktoberfest.
But before you get started, are there any questions on the health of the CDF or any concerns that anybody wants to chat about? Super sad that it's going through what it's going through, but we're hoping that it can limp along. There may be some new premier sponsors for the CDF, and I believe that they're going to look to see who renews in 2024 before they determine what they'll do completely.
Yeah, pretty much sounds like we need to wait. I mean, a lot of things has to happen, conversation, and as you say, like people deciding if they are going to get interest on that. So yeah, we should just calm down and wait, and of course, seeing options until that.
I think that is wise advice. I would agree. Hey, Sasha, good to see you. Haven't talked to you in a while. At least I haven't. How are you?
I see you, Tracy. I'm all right. I'm looking forward to doing some stuff for Hacktoberfest.
Yep, I already assigned some stuff to you, Sasha. So
Oh, really? I like it, Steve.
I
Just
kind
time.
of will dive into this. So we've created 3 projects out here. So we have the Ortelius releases, the Emporus ones, and then the outreach. So if you go into one of the projects, you'll see the layout of what needs to be done. And any one of these, any issue that's out here can be tagged for Hacktoberfest. Even though it may not be directly tagged right now, we can go ahead and just, when you do the pull request, you just tag it with the Hacktoberfest label, and you'll get credit for that. So on the outreach side, we got some blogs and some admin stuff that's happening. Even though it says administration, it may not technically be like you need an administrator ID or anything like that. It's just a way it's more like the plumbing of stuff. So just think of it that way. If we jump over to the Ortelius releases, you'll see that we have a couple releases out here. We have the 11.0, which is the new one based on the blockchain. The other one is our current release that's out here. And then there's a couple others other releases. So go ahead and pick stuff and assign it to yourself. Some of the things that you'll see, we still have the bounties out there. So if you're working on something that is related to the bounty, it may be tagged with the bounty, but the bounty amount might not be added into the comments. Just ping me and I'll go through and get that sorted out and updated. There are a couple good first issues that we created over the last couple days. And like Sasha, your one I just assigned to you, I think is in administration. I think it's in version 10. Yep. So we have like the Emporus in the box, and then add Palami as well for to replace the Terraform and Helm stuff. So Sasha, I assign that to you because I know you talked about trying to learn that. Like I said, even on this side, if the issue doesn't have the Hacktoberfest, just go ahead and when we submit the PR, we'll make sure it's labeled that way so you get your credit. And to register, you just go to hacktoberfest.com. And I've already done it. So you just click on your register now and basically associate your GitHub account with Hacktoberfest, and they'll start tracking your PRs. So that's what we mainly have going on that front. Any questions?
Yes. Do you want the code in Go? The infrastructure as code.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it in Go.
Okay.
Go or Python. I know some of the stuff, like Kat was saying, some of it works better if you do it in Go, because then it could be you run it through the Palami generator, and it can generate any language. But our main languages that we work with are we're starting to adopt Go for all the new stuff, as well as some of the things when we get into the data science type of stuff and the ML and AI stuff. That would be probably most likely being Python. And then, like the Svelte stuff is TypeScript and basically Node.js type of languages. Things that we're gonna. Yep.
I am currently using Pulumi in TypeScript for my job.
Oh, nice.
So like I will do the spell part in TypeScript.
Yep. So if you want to team up with Sasha on that works as well. I think the way Hacktoberfest works is the person creating the PR will get credit. So if we have two people working on the same issue, what we need to do is split it into smaller pieces, so you both get credit. We'll figure that out. Just let me know if we run into that scenario. We'll figure out how to create the issues and the PRs, so folks will get the credit when you're teaming up and working on something. So like this one for the Palami, there's two pieces to it. One is to create the cluster, so creating like the kind cluster. And the other one is actually doing the deployment of Ortelius into the cluster. So that would be one that we could actually split into two different issues and two different PRs. I just didn't know how big this one is going to be, so I just kind of left it as one for now.
Steve.
Yep.
And I give some praise to being in this open source project.
What was it?
Please.
This
Yes.
open source project is causing me so many problems. You know why? Because we're so far ahead of everybody else that I don't know how to talk to them anymore.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Like using things like blockchain and graph DBs and even microservices and stuff. It's like people don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
Well, we'll need to create some blogs around that to kind of explain, that explaining what we're doing and, laying out how we're approaching our architecture and our rollout and why we're doing things. Does make for good blog articles as well.
I can take that blog.
Yeah.
I can collaborate with Sasha and understand how he's, plumbing all those pieces together using Pulumi, and I can write a blog around that.
Yeah, and there's it may fall into like the SBOM.
Or just create a new one.
Yeah, you could just go ahead and create new issues for what you decide the topic to be. One thing when you do create an issue, let me just show you it. All of our issues are mainly in the Ortelius repo. There is one little weird catch when you create an issue.
I'll just create an issue for the blog for the while you're at it.
Just put it in here. I just want to. So what we want to do is like on the label side, we could do, I don't know if we have documentation or blog.
Outreach.
So that would be like an outreach or documentation. Either one will work.
Outreach, please.
And that will be how it's labeled. And then you go into projects and you'd want to assign it to which project. So because it's going to be a blog, we'll go into outreach project and pick the milestone, whether it's for the current release, which is like what we're talking about. Now what will happen is there's actually a field missing. And what it is it's the like the core admin UI. It won't show up until you submit the issue. And now that I submitted the issue and saved it, you see this +1 more.
Mhm.
And this is where you choose the area of where how to categorize it in the project layout. So in this case, I choose it as a blog area. And that's the one thing you just got to do. It doesn't show up until you hit save. That's the weird catch with it. So now if we go back over the projects, we gotta go up to the main level. Projects. If we look at outreach. This is what the area is called, the blogs administration. So that's where it allows us to do that grouping. So this is that one we just created at this level. So that's where you just have to make sure you add that area on the issue side. Now, once it's in the project and associated with it, you can make the comments and things like that directly from this project page without having to go into the issue itself.
Okay.
So that's just the one weird catch that's out there.
Gosh, you look really slick, bro. I like your hair and your glasses.
Yeah,
I know, at first I didn't
Computer glasses.
recognize him. It was like,
I know,
oh, we
I
have
was
somebody
like,
new. Oh, no, that's
he's a new
Ukarsh.
guy.
Yeah, we have
New
a
guy.
new CIO.
So any questions on the project dashboard and stuff?
No.
Like I said, make sure you go into Hacktoberfest, register, get that done today. Any of the PRs when we could do the review and the approval, we just need to make sure they're tagged with the Hacktoberfest label, so everybody gets their credit on that front. And again,
So we don't have a
because
cloud anymore, hey? Oh, sorry, Steve. I didn't know you.
just one last quick thing. We can, because of the way GitHub works, we'll be able to have PRs in different repos that point back to the issue in the main Ortelius repo. So that works fine that way as well. Go ahead, Sasha, you had a question?
I know I've got very left field ideas, like are way out there, but you should take a look at zero tier. Because zero tier would allow us to be the cloud. We could actually build a developer network using the internet very securely, an Ortelius developer network. So go take a look at zero tier.
Can you drop that in Discord?
I know it sounds mad, and I know everyone's probably thinking, oh, I'm not going to someone access something local on my machine, but I'm just thinking in terms of I'm using it with my teammate so that he can demo services on my machine, and he just sits at home, and it's a completely secure network across the internet. It's like a VPN, but it's not a VPN.
Yeah,
it's a tunnel, and you can access each other's services on a private IP across the internet. So it's not public at all. No one can see it. So because we don't have cloud anymore, and we are the cloud because of the CNCF, these are really cheap and free ways of demoing and doing cool stuff.
I've been trying to get my team to use something like that for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a great strategy.
Yeah, it's flipping awesome, right? Who's that? It's a cartoon.
That's Scott.
I work inside of VR,
Scott.
so
Scott lives in Scott's the lawnmower man.
Yeah.
There you
Old
go.
school movie.
Yeah, so Sasha
I'll
dropped the
post it in,
link to
yeah.
that, and we'll check it out.
Yeah, so we don't have to hack around with VPN or anything, but it's very secure. And then you can create like a completely separate network, like an Ortelius network, with all of us.
Right. That
Yeah,
may
I'm
work
gonna
out
put it.
well to share data.
Yeah, share data. Yeah.
So we could actually have a single Arango database running somewhere that everybody
Exactly.
can then connect to.
Yeah, like on your computer, Steve. For
Yeah.
Shut the-
Well, I end up with a
Turn off
lot of
your
data,
computer.
so it's not unusual.
No, I'm just saying, like, for example, somebody could, if they've got a spare server in their, someone's got a spare server at home, you could connect it to Zero Tier, and like you just said, you could host like a fully fledged cloud environment on that in Kubernetes using Kind and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's buy some Raspberry Pi and start our
Yeah,
clusters and-
exactly. Raspberry Pis.
They have an open source community edition too.
Or all those other things. I was looking at them, but it's quite expensive. But you can do a whole cluster, like a 5-node cluster. It's like this big. Yeah,
That
with
sounds
cards.
like sounds pretty much like what Scooper does, but
Yeah.
for working, not for clusters. But yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I know this is becoming architecture, but I just thought I'd put that out there for people to think of how we can use that cleverly, right? To work together.
Yep. Well, let's continue the discussion around it on Discord and see if we can get a good use case for doing that. Also, some of the other use cases that we're going to need, and I'm just trying to figure out how to put this into the issues, but we need to start thinking about what we can do for MLAI around the pipelines and securities and components, our evidence catalog, what we can do with the data. So what we may want to do is just do a brainstorming session and just schedule that as a one-off.
I can show you a demo because I've set it up already with a mate, so I can show you how it works. Yeah. So he can access my local stack AWS cluster, for example, right? So I'm running full AWS with local stack. I can deploy EKS Kubernetes cluster, Postgres, the whole works. I could deploy Ortelius in there, and I could share that with everybody here. And you could access Ortelius in a fully fledged, full-blown Kubernetes cluster in AWS using local stack. So think about stuff like that. It's like endlessly powerful.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
And also local stack has like open source edition. So like Ortelius can get 12 months free of all the pro version of Ortelius.
Exactly, Arvind. Yes, that's true. Locals, we can get free licenses, right?
Yes, for 1 year.
Free. People, we love free.
Yeah.
I mean free.
Yeah. Well, that's what I had for us today. Anybody else have anything?
No.
Yeah, Steve, regarding that discussion that you were saying regarding MLAI topics. So when do you want to have those?
Let me check the schedule, but maybe Thursday of this week. Basically same time.
Okay.
If not, we can do I'd like to kind of do it sooner than later. Let me see what Thursday looks like. Yeah, probably this Thursday at same time, 9:30 Mountain Time. Does that work for folks?
Yeah, I might not be there because I have like classes at that time. So I was thinking if there are we having that another slot that we used to have before, I think the evening time your time zone.
I'm trying to remember. Well, we have our architecture. So next week we'll have outreach and architecture. So our outreach is what, Monday next week, and architecture will be Thursday next week.
Yeah, I noticed, I just looked at my calendar. I'm not seeing those. Is it time to send out new invitations?
It could be. Let me look for next week. Yeah, I see it. I see the architecture, and I gotta see which calendar coming off of. Because it looks like they've dropped off of the CDF calendar.
Yeah, I don't have either of them, and like I say, maybe just to get everybody a clean start,
Yep. Yep.
push
Well,
new invitations
I'll
out.
put that on my to-do list to get because I have access to the CDF calendar, and I'll make sure that our stuff gets added there. And it looks like next Monday we have an Ortelius Fidelity follow-up meeting. So I
No,
don't know if-
that's gotten rescheduled right now.
okay, because it's on the calendar for October 9th.
Yeah, I need to take that off because Gerard can't make it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll put that on our to-do list, Tony, to get the calendar cleaned up and make sure everybody knows about stuff. And like you said, we probably have to extend the invitation dates to make sure that they're all out, get
Thank you.
republished. And that will, when we do that, it'll get anybody that's part of the Ortelius Google group should get the email notifications of the updates to the events. So that way you can go ahead and make sure they're added to your calendar. Anything else? All right, cool. Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
everyone.
Bye, have a great day.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.